prefect joke of the day is, no, I can't think of one. So I just thought you'd be really sleepy this morning, but there's a lot of energy in the chapel. But in any event, I thought we might wake ourselves up by singing the Lonsdale's hymn, How Great Thou Art. So where's Lonsdale's? Where are you, Lonsdale's? Okay, so wake us up. Hymn number 7.
Please be seated. Great to hear you in such good voice this morning, and thank you, Mrs. Daniel, for pumping it out like that. I began yesterday morning to sort of craft a letter to the cast and crew of the musical, and then I thought, what am I doing? I'm actually going to thank them in public. So here's the letter to you. Dear cast and crew, it was such an absolute joy to be in the back row of the theatre on Sunday. and to listen to your expression of deep gratitude to the staff who have supported you. I'd emailed Mr. MacLeod on Saturday asking if he had any expectations of me as headmaster at the end of the last performance. He wrote back, "No expectations, just come back for more fun. The students will take care of the thank yous at the end of the show." I would have felt an interloper, a charlatan appearing, Deus Ex Machina, a dramatic device which brings actors playing gods onto the stage. It was your moment, and you gave such heartwarming thank yous, which spoke to the extraordinary teamwork between students and staff at Shawnigan. I also have a confession. I have a deep fear of the stage. I went to a boys' school and always seemed to be cast in our annual house play, mainly because of my long legs, as rather seductive female characters. Femme fatales with excessive mascara, nail polish and suspenders. I remain deeply traumatized as a result of the casting and have avoided the stage ever since. There was so much imagination and creativity bubbling through the musical, the Star Wars tribute at the start, the choreography of performers and moving stage, neon-coloured costumes, silver platform boots and silver ties, taser guns, maniacal laughter, dystopic satire, the chemistry between the main characters in action and song, body flips, the splits, PDAs, public displays of affection, and much more. In fact, every time there was a kiss on stage, people around me in the theatre would turn around to see what my reaction would be. And Poppy hid under her jacket and innocently asked me if it was appropriate. Future headmistress material. Mr. MacLeod promised me a startling performance, creative stagecraft, and the power of performing arts at Shawnigan, and warned me not to search too closely on the literary merits of the narrative. In chapel on Saturday, I said, "There is more in you than you think, and you have shown this as individuals and collectively." You might have read my contribution to the programme. One of my favourite songs is Queen's "Don't Stop Me Now." We sang it all the way home on Friday night in the car, and again on Sunday afternoon. The lyrics are unforgettable and spoke to your performance. You made us feel alive. You were like shooting stars leaping through the sky. Don't stop us now, we're having such a good time. And the final line, we don't want to stop at all. You didn't, and we as the audience didn't want you to stop. In Chapel Reflections so far this year, I've covered track and field, rugby and basketball. It's rowing's turns. I can see Mr. Mattock over there. On Sunday, I read of James Cracknell's extraordinary achievement, aged 46, of being in the winning Cambridge crew of the boat race on the River Thames in London. The journalist wrote, "The 46-year-old has many remarkable achievements to his name. 2 Olympic gold medals, 6 world titles, rowing across the Atlantic, racing to the South Pole, and running a 6-day ultramarathon in the Sahara Desert. But becoming the oldest competitor and a successful one in this 190-year-old race is perhaps the toughest and the greatest. There will now be another challenge, perhaps the biggest of them all, for Cracknell in filling the void after 6 months of pushing his body to the limit in training for this day. Drawing a parallel, I'm sure that this week will be a little challenging for our cast and crew as you step back into the old weekly rhythm away from the rehearsal schedule and adrenaline of performances. There will undoubtedly be a void, and you may well feel, as Miss Tyrrell described to me yesterday, that some of your soul has been sucked out as it was on stage at the hands of the dastardly Khashoggi. Know as you navigate this week that you combined as a team to deliver something magical. You made us proud parents, grandparents, godparents, staff, fellow students, and many more. On Sunday, I invited the head of drama of Pearson College on the island to come to the performance. She absolutely loved it, and so did I. Over to you, Rev.
Thank you, Mr. Lamont. There's so much going on, you know, sometimes it's hard to keep track of everything. Several weeks ago, a group of students went to Japan for a science fair, and they've just been chomping at the bit to tell you about it. So I'm going to invite Selena, Gustavo, and Sam to come up now, and they've been waiting for a while to do this, so.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Selena, and Sam, Gustavo, Mr. Noble, and I had the great opportunity to go to the annual Japan Super Science Fair this year, which was hosted by the Ritsumeikan School in Kyoto. For many of us, this was the first time attending a high school science fair, let alone going to Japan. I didn't know what to expect when we arrived at the school. I was a bit nervous. Kids from all over the world were coming with an amazing science project they made. What will these people be like? I felt a bit relieved that the first students we met were the other Canadians from Winnipeg. We got along well from the start, bonding over how it was much warmer in Kyoto than it was back in Canada. Sam and Gustavo roomed with some really cool guys from Australia and Hong Kong, while I roomed with girls from Thailand, Kenya, England, Russia, and America. The JSSF group was diverse, with people from over 18 countries, similar to Shawnigan. What I quickly learned over the following days was that these students that we roomed, ate, talked, and worked with weren't the intimidating people I thought they'd be. Yes, many of them were insanely smart, especially the guys from the Korea Science Academy of KAIST, but we all actually had a lot in common. We all were high school students who were eager to learn and explore more about the unknowns in science and wanted to get to know each other while at the science fair. The theme for JSSF this year was Fusion for Change. This means to integrate a diversity of ideas. Dr. Horie, the principal of Ritsumeikan School, believes that in order for the next generation of scientists to be global leaders, they must have not only a high level of scientific literacy, but exceptional teamwork skills and an open-minded attitude towards people of different backgrounds. The goal of this year was to bring us students of different cultures to work together and prepare for a future, networking. We did this in various ways, from exchanging little gifts to working in groups in science zones. I came back to Shawnigan with a suitcase half full of tourist keychains and candy for my new friends. I had fun attempting to program a robotic snake to travel across a setup course with a Taiwanese guy, but it failed and ended up going around in circles and broke. We both agreed that we wished that we had joined robotics earlier. All of us students gained many things from the Japan Super Science Fair. I was able to get to know all the inspiring, hardworking, and friendly people that were my fellow JSSF participants. We created a group chat with over 30 members, and just a few days ago, we were talking about how much we miss being at this science fair. I got especially close to an Australian girl named Marvi, and we still call each other when we have the chance to.
I'll talk a bit more about the cultural aspect of our trip. Everything started when we arrived in Japan a few days ago. Before the science fair hit us that the only person in our group that knew how to speak Japanese was Selena. Though there was much pressure on her, she handled it like a champ. Before going to Ritsumeikan Junior and Senior High School and the Ritsumeikan University for the opening ceremony, we decided to do some more exploring on our own. By adventuring Kyoto and its cultural historical locations, such as the Nijo Castle and the Mount Inari, showed us a different Japan. The trip wowed us with its beautiful views of the Japanese mountains to the architectures of their shrines, showing us the integration of the city's historical aspect and its urban part. As the trip progressed, the group showed its true colors. Sam, the navigator, guiding us with his sense of direction. Mr. Noble, the adventurer, fearless and brave as he led us through Japan. Selena, the translator, making sure the message traveled across the language barrier. Finally me, the joker, saying my favorite Brazilian jokes, as well as my single Japanese pickup line. Japanese people were incredibly accepting, guiding us to the locations which we wanted to visit, as well as giving us insight about the history of the trip, of the area. Finally, when we arrived at the science fair, the Ritsumeikan High School students and our tour hosts made sure that we were as comfortable as possible during our stay, from asking questions about school to typical foods that we're eating in the area. It was a unique opportunity that not many students can experience, but the effort to participate in this event was very much worth it, as the fair was amazing.
So far, you have heard a bit about the people and the culture of our trip. But what is a science fair without any science? As Selena said previously, the people there were incredibly smart. Their projects were outstanding as well. You could tell that each project was carefully planned and many hours were spent researching and experimenting. One team of students researched the development of water-resistant metal-organic framework-based hybrid material for selective capture of carbon dioxide gas, while another group looked at how nanosilver could eliminate foot odor. On the first day, we listened to students give an oral presentation of their projects to a small crowd. Gustavo was the only one of the three of us to do an oral presentation and represented our school well by giving the best performance in our venue, even though it was saved in the wrong format, causing the slides to be super blurry. Next up was the poster exhibition. This was where we got to see everyone's projects on paper and could present our own. There were 3 other sciencey activities that we did. The first was the Science Zones, which were hands-on projects ranging from powering a small toy car with nothing but charcoal, aluminum, and a wet, salty tissue, to programming a game. The second activity was the Science Talk, where a professor came and talked to us about a certain subject. The one Gustavo and I attended was of how to attain an average 3D digital model of a human. Finally, and my favorite part, the industrial tour. For the industrial tour, we visited a nearby company that showed us around their workplace and gave a full rundown of their process in designing products. The company Gustavo and I visited was Yushin, a company that designs takeout robots for mass production injection molding. Now, since I've been back, almost everyone I have talked to about JSSF has asked me, "Did you win?" JSSF is not a competition. It is only meant for students to have fun, make connections, and learn. If this interests you at all, we will send out an email in the near future with details to meet and discuss plans for next year's Super Science Fair. Also, next year, you will have the opportunity to collaborate with students from the host Japanese school, which could mean a possible visit from the Japanese students to Shawnigan. If you have any questions, come talk to us or wait until we meet and we will answer to the best of our knowledge. I would like to thank Mr. Noble for accompanying us on this expedition, Mr. Mays and Ms. Montgomery for helping guide us before our departure, Mr. Zaks for helping design and print our posters, and everyone else who made this trip possible. Thank you, or as the Japanese say it,
ありがとうございます。
Arigato, you 3. So listening to the three of them, it's interesting. You know, often we think of art as something that brings people together. We don't often think of science as something that brings people together, especially internationally. So it was just lovely to hear that the real purpose or the real result of that a science fair was that kind of networking and that sense of community around the pursuit of science. Something for us to think about, I think, that, you know, those of you who are scientists out there, that science as well as you know, these other pursuits can also be a way of bridging cultures and bringing people together and building community. It's a nice vision to start the day with. So you're all wearing your green or your jerseys in recognition and remembrance of the Humboldt tragedy just 1 year ago. So good job, everyone. And I think we'll end with hymn number 13, which is Be Still My Soul. Please stand. Thank you all. I wasn't going to say anything, but you know, just singing that song, you just realize how precious our lives are. So I just encourage you really to appreciate your life today and appreciate the lives of the people around you. And have a great day.